What's going on, everybody? Thank you for taking time out checking out this video today. Different video. As you can see, I'm not in my workout gear. I'm in a shirt. I've just been out, but I feel like talking, and I want to talk about something that's pretty delicate and vulnerable to me. Is that why is it as men we have to suffer so much? Now, this is coming from a place where I'm not doing so well. A lot of pressures, a lot of thoughts, dark voices, which when they continue to spiral and spiral and spiral, it can become difficult to deal with as a man. Now, you know, the world is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. We have a lot of resources when it comes to mental health. We have, you know, the click of our fingers. We've got quotes, and we can, you know, go to YouTube online and put in a subject that we're suffering with or we want help with, and then you can get all the videos of people saying, here's how you do this. This is why you're feeling like this, that, the other. You know, and, you know, whilst the material is out there, the suffering never stops. It's not a click of a finger where you can watch a video and it'll change your life. As men, we always seem to be suffering one way or another. And, you know, in the social media world, in the online world, in this world, we as men are asked, or we're asked, or we're told that it's okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to express how you're feeling. It's okay to express your emotions. Now, whilst that's out in the world today, men continue to suffer. You know, sometimes that, you know, when I'm not feeling so good, like right now, I'm not feeling so good. This video is coming from a person who's not doing so well. You know, I think about my suffering and I think about the issues and what's causing me to feel low, feel angry, frustrated. And it's a regurgitating set of feelings that I continue to go through. And it's probably the same for a lot of men, where we have these feelings and thoughts, but we're not able to express them out loud. We have to regurgitate them in our minds, let them play out, wake up the next morning, crack on with our day. But why is it we have to keep the weight on our shoulders each and every time? Why can't it be that on a man's shoulders, the weight can be lifted temporarily, whether it may be? You know, I'm not asking the question without the answer, because I do feel I know what the answer is. You know, I understand from back in ancestral history, general life was tough. Life was tough. Men were breadwinners, got to earn for the family, got to go to work in the morning. Men had a purpose. Men had a purpose in that time. You know, it feels like as if they had no time to think. You know, the triggers and the traumas that they may have carried when they were younger, or when the let's call it the previous generation in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah, men had that attitude that no matter what, you've got to keep going. You've got to keep going in life. Men had a purpose for their family, and they had to bring food on the table. Now let's look at the 90s for a minute. You know, there was a lack of awareness of mental health. A lack of, you know, nobody used to speak about it. And, you know, even if there were murmurings of mental health or somebody not feeling so good in their minds, you couldn't understand. They couldn't understand why. Why am I feeling like this? You know? But men were taught to just carry on no matter what your suffering is. Let your mind control you. Let the processes, your thought patterns continue. A lack of empathy perhaps. Because men didn't have time to be able to sit and think in those days. Fast forward to today, where mental health is being spoken about a lot, and the opening of being able to understand that your mind is a treasure, and if it's not used properly, or if you're feeling, your mind is going through negative emotions and you're feeling quite low, feeling quite sad. Now men have this awareness that they can express and they can share their feelings. And funny enough, whilst we're encouraged as men to express, we still struggle. Now, I'm one of those who's not very shy in expressing how he feels. But at the same time, we're still battling society. Society saying, you can express, you can share. But who's out there to share to? That's the question I want to ask. Who is out there to sit with you for hours and hours on end and be able to listen to a man's suffering? As men, we don't ask for much, I feel. We're simpletons, we're simple human beings. We sort of know our role in our lives. We know the role to provide, to protect, to feed our families, to be responsible, to be accountable. But we're still in a world where there's a perception of men being weak. There's a perception of men not being able to, whilst they're aware of that they have emotions, they're still not able to express. And I think whilst society encourages men to voice up, you look out the world and you think, who is out there who I can express my suffering to? Who actually cares? And sometimes you play that victim mentality of no one does care. Is that true? I mean, in my opinion, I still don't feel that I can express to anyone unless I am understood. And I think there's a lack of understanding when it comes to men. And sometimes I just feel like the suffering will continue, the suffering will go on. Because whilst the world is evolving and mental health is more spoken about, are men comfortable expressing? Are you comfortable expressing how you feel? How do you see talking about your emotions? Do you still see it as weak? Do you see it as something that a man can't do, a man shouldn't do, that a man should be able to provide and protect, continue to go about their daily lives and do what they're set out to do on this earth? Or do your emotions matter? Do your emotions matter? Do you carry on your suffering just because you feel like there's no one out there that you can express it to? Or do you feel like your emotions don't matter because that's not how men are raised? That's how men shouldn't act or behave or respond. That's not something that men should worry about. But then when the mind, when the thoughts creep up in your mind, they continue to regurgitate, make you suffer, make you feel like shit each and every time. Then what do you do when, with all of those feelings and emotions, that you're aware you're not feeling good? Then what do you do? Then what do you do? And I still think a lot of men in this world, and I still think we're still in a world where access to communication, access to support, access to space to be able to express is still not there. Sure, you can go to therapists. Sure, you can go on courses. But what men need, is brotherly love, bro-to-bro conversations. A brother who is always there. A brother that stands up for his friends. A brother that stands up for his people. And I think it's important that when we do suffer, that we have each other's backs, but we're able to sit together and express how we feel, express what is troubling us. Because while society is telling us that we can do that, I still don't think men can do that. Because men think, look, this is how we're raised as men. This is what we were taught in childhood. We've got that sort of layer of that generational crossover between the breadwinner to a world where men can express and open up. And I don't think a lot of men are able to translate over to recognizing their emotions and being able to speak up. And that's sad. That's sad. That a lot of men now within my age, probably 30s, just get on with it. I just get on with it sometimes. Most of the time I just get on with it. Yeah, I can express to myself, but I just get on with it as well. But should we be suffering? Emotionally, should we really be suffering that much in life? Yes, we can say, it's all right, I've got my coping mechanisms, and which is fantastic. If you've got good coping mechanisms that help you keep going, brilliant. But sometimes as men need to be heard. Men need to be heard. And I think there's a lot of men out there, and I don't know who's watching this thinking the same, that you may feel the same. And it's difficult. And this is difficult as a man, sometimes. I personally don't feel really good right now. I'll go through a lot of trauma, a lot of guilt. And I'm able to express in some capacity. But at the same time, I'm still one of those who just gets up and gets on with it, let my mind suffer. But then it gets to a point where your subconscious just doesn't let it go. All those thoughts creep at you at the night. And you have nowhere to turn. Nowhere to, sometimes you don't have anyone to turn to who will be able to sit with you and listen. And it's, I've been here, I've seen, I've a few friends of friends who have committed suicide because men are not able to express, or they don't feel they're able to express. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that men, I think, the suffering needs to stop. Men need to be heard. Yes, we can hold ourselves accountable, responsible, do the things that we see in our purpose. But hold space for us is what I'm going to say. You know, hold space for us. We have emotions too, and we suffer, we struggle, but we do carry on, but we struggle. You know? So men, all I can say to anyone who's watching this, to, you know, we have to keep fighting and keep battling on. You know? We have to keep battling on, because there are going to be some down days. There's going to be some difficult days. You know? But if you've got the friends circle, the brother to brotherhood that you've got, keep that. Keep it. Because, you know, having that bond with your brothers is sorely needed with everyone right now. And I think, you know, there's a lot of loneliness out there. So, whilst we're suffering, if you are suffering, you know, we will get through it. We'll get through it. But recognize that it's not easy. It's not easy. But that builds character, right? That builds courage. That builds personality. So, just some thoughts I wanted to share about men and suffering. You know, we have to keep fighting the good fight. We got to keep on training. Peace out. Salute.